In the beginning, fashion made her famous, but the stiletto was soon on the other foot. In an industry known for its constantly changing tastes, her longevity, over 30 years in the business to date, is a testament to her ability and willingness to adapt. In the early 90s, her slight, delicate build challenged the prevailing supermodel aesthetic of tall, curvaceous silhouettes. But as the decade progressed, she came to embody the cultural capital of cool Britannia in innumerable shoots, campaigns and runway shows. She's been immortalised in works by artists including Lucian Freud, Tracey Emin and Mark Quinn. Yet despite her extraordinariness, a huge part of her success is her ability to bridge the gap between high fashion and the high street. My castaway this week was born Paul Hewson, but thanks to a nickname from a school friend, he's one of a handful of global stars known by a single name. He achieved that stardom decades ago with a few pals from school. Judged by any metric, you are one of the most successful acts in music history. They've sold over 170 million albums, won 22 Grammys, more than any other band, and exploded expectations of what stadium concerts could be, tour after record-breaking tour. Even more remarkably, they're still together 45 years on. But as it turns out, this wasn't all his life was destined to encompass. Just as his creative dreams came true, he found another job as an activist. His commitment to the Drop the Debt campaign saw him woo presidents and slip a pair of sunglasses to the Pope. He's arguably television's most familiar quiz presenter, a reassuringly knowledgeable, punctilious and avuncular presence in British living rooms. It wasn't until his 40s that he became a household name, although what you see on screen isn't the realisation of some long-held dream, but one of our most successful television executives enjoying what he calls his downtime. Before he was persuaded to take up a place in front of the camera, he spent 20 years behind it, developing and producing shows including Total Wipeout, Deal or No Deal, and 8 out of 10 Cats. In recent years, he's turned his attention from all those quizzes to a different kind of puzzle, writing 2 smash-hit murder mysteries. Status is such that she requires no surname, let alone an introduction, but for tradition's sake, here goes. She's the youngest Nobel Prize winner in history, and she jokes the only recipient of the Peace Prize who still fights with her younger brothers. She was already a prominent campaigner for girls' education in her home country of Pakistan when, 9 years ago, a Taliban gunman boarded her school bus and shot her. She was 15.
Is an elite test pilot and accomplished aeronautical engineer, and one of very few people to have ever completed a spacewalk. But regardless of his impressive string of top-flight achievements, the simple truth is you might know him best as the singing spaceman. More of that later. Queen of prime time for a long time, her glamour, warmth and willing are ideally suited to the small screen. Big Brother, Comic Relief, Million Pound Drop, Long Lost Family. Her TV shows span the channels and the choices of millions of viewers. She stands out from the immaculately coiffed pack for her ability to talk to real people like they are real people. Her Hollywood blockbusters, TV sitcoms, documentaries, horror movies, quiz shows, Christmas pantos. He's been at it since the tender age of 11. Not just surviving an early start in showbiz, but using it to build a flourishing long-term career. Then again, bucking the odds is something of a habit. Born with a very rare genetic disorder, the doctors thought he'd be wheelchair-bound and die in his teens. Well, I can happily confirm that my 46-year-old castaway walked into the studio today apparently in robust health. He says, "The reason I became a performer was because I was short. And growing up, I had to be larger than life, had to be funnier, I had to be louder, be bolder than everybody at school."
He has shaped the sound of popular music over the past 4 decades. As a student in New York in the early 80s, he fell in love with the emerging rap scene and founded the label Def Jam in his dorm room. He helped catapult the music into the mainstream, signing Public Enemy and the Beastie Boys and enjoying early international success with the hit single Walk This Way when rappers Run DMC collaborated with the rock band Aerosmith. He's won 9 Grammys, and his credits run the gamut from Adele to Jay-Z, touching on, if not every letter, then certainly every genre in between.
If one single living person could be said to personify rock and roll, then it is surely him. Cool, rebellious, enduring, and in an apparently perpetual state of having a good time. He's been making music and causing various degrees of havoc for over half a century and counting. His songwriting, singing and guitar playing have helped to make the Rolling Stones a stratospherically successful group. And his early and single-minded dedication to the triumvirate pursuits of sex and drugs and rock and roll made him a counterculture icon. His default approach to life is swimming against the tide. In an era of relentlessly observational comedy, he tells tightly crafted jokes with proper punchlines. At a time when hoodies and trainers are standard fashion issue, he favours bespoke Savile Row tailoring. And as the modern media increasingly preoccupies itself tiptoeing around the sensibilities of society, he positively revels in the inappropriate, with his gigs punctuated not just by audience laughter, but sharp intakes of breath too. His work ethic is extraordinary, around 250 live gigs a year, plus a lot of TV.